How long has it been since you started scrolling? And do you even know the answer to that question? The more you let your attention be constantly pulled away in all directions, the less control you'll have over your life. I'm going to invite you to take a step out of that world of distraction and come into this world of presence and mindfulness. So I wanted to do a short guided meditation on the mindfulness of breath. It's very simple. Anyone can do it. Even if you believe that your mind goes all over the place, this is still doable for you. Trust me. So the first thing is to find some place to sit. And I recommend using something to prop up your sit bones. So I have like a meditation bench right here. Or you could just get like a pillow or a cushion like this and sit on it. The key is to have your hips as much above your knees as possible. And this is so our backs can be straight and we can maintain the sense of alertness that we'll need to maintain on the breath as much as possible. You could put your hands on your lap in any position that's comfortable to you. You could put them resting on your knees. It doesn't really matter. Just do whatever is comfortable with you. And now we can get started. Right now we can let our eyes close without forcefully closing them shut. We can just gently let them close. Without any tension, but with a sense of gentleness. And now I invite you to take a couple of deep breaths just to center ourselves in this present moment. Trying to focus on these two breaths, clearing away everything else in your mind. And as best as we can, I invite you now to gather your attention and focus it on the movements of the breath. Throughout this practice, when we're trying to pay attention to the breath, there are some different things that you could do to maintain this attention or awareness. You could notice things like the duration of each in-breath and out-breath. And maybe asking yourself, which one takes longer to complete? The inhalation or the exhalation? Maybe you might find that they both take the same amount of time to complete. And there's no need to actually count how long each inhalation and exhalation takes. This is just a way of getting a greater feel for the breath. A way to engage our mind and continue to place our attention on the breath. And throughout this practice, you should note that it's completely normal for you to find yourself distracted, thinking about your life, the past, the future. It's only human that our mind wanders in this way. And there's no need to beat yourself up about it. The practice of mindfulness meditation is not to clear your mind completely, but rather getting lost in your mind is just a step of mindfulness meditation, a natural step. But what follows, however, is very important as well. When our mind wanders, all we should do is notice that our mind has wandered. And we can take this noticing that our mind has wandered with a sense of gratitude and appreciation that we've been able to detect that our mind has wandered. And then the next step would just to simply and gently redirect our attention back to the breath. And this cycle of losing ourselves and finding ourselves again and redirecting our attention back to the breath is a core tenet of mindfulness meditation. And as we follow the breath, we can also use our different senses. For example, we can try to use our sense of hearing, try to take note of what the breath sounds like as we inhale and exhale. And there's no need to intentionally breathe louder or softer. Just try to breathe as is, but take notice of what that sounds like or whether you hear anything at all. And we can also bring to mind and notice the momentary gap between each inhalation and exhalation. Noticing that brief moment of time that so often goes unnoticed. Those brief moments in time which separates each in-breath and out-breath. Paying attention to this momentary pause and paying attention to what thoughts may arise in your mind as you start to notice these pauses. And if you'd like, you may also bring awareness to the texture or the temperature of each in-breath and out-breath. Asking yourself, how does it really feel to experience a stream of air flowing in and out of your nostrils? Maybe the in breath is cooler than the out breath. Maybe you may be experiencing the opposite. All we need to do is experience, observe, and take note of what we're experiencing. Perhaps you may also track the movements of the breath, noticing when it starts, when it flows into your nostril, and where it ends. How far can you track the movements of each in breath and out breath? With each in breath starting at the base of the nostril, how far can you track the stream of air? Can you feel it going down all the way to your windpipe? Or down all the way to your lungs? Maybe you just feel it in your nose. All we're doing here is just observing the breath in ways that we may not have observed it before. Just as we ask our friends questions about themselves. Here, we're just getting to know the breath a little bit more. We're simply getting to know what it feels like to breathe. We're simply immersing ourselves as much as possible in this simple yet vital experience. You can also explore the sensations lower down in your body. You might notice that your diaphragm might be rising just as we inhale and falling as we exhale. It could also be your chest that rises as we inhale and falls as we exhale. Whichever it may be it your diaphragm or your chest, I invite you here to also track the movements as it rises and falls. At this point of our practice, it may also be useful to ask ourselves, how do we feel right now as we pay attention to the breath? How did we feel before this practice started? And how do you feel now? And if asking yourself this question has led you to a loop of distraction, then here's a gentle reminder just to come back to the breath, just for a few more moments before we close. And for the more visual learners out there, you could also imagine the breath to correspond to waves on the beach. As we inhale, imagine the waves crashing down into the beach. And as we exhale, imagine the waves receding slowly back into the ocean. If you find it useful to also imagine the sounds of the waves crashing and receding as you breathe in and out, then feel free to do so. And before we close, maybe I'll invite you to call to mind what technique has been most effective in helping you to ground yourself in the breath. Whether it's using the different senses to feel and notice the breath, paying attention to its specific movements, and where exactly in the body we feel the breath. Monitoring the movements of the diaphragm or the chest as they rise and fall, or visualizing the breath as waves crashing and receding at the beach. Whichever technique was most helpful to you, you can always continue to use it and employ it at any point in your life, even just for a few moments. Before we let our eyes open, you may just take these few moments to check in with your body. Let your attention spread out from the breath and go towards the different parts of the body, checking in with how you feel. If there's any discomfort or if there's a newfound sense of calm or peace, just taking note of that and realize that whatever you're feeling right now, you can always access through the practice, whenever and wherever. And then we can start to pay attention to the surrounding area around us, slowly easing yourselves back into this moment, this time and place. Listening to the sounds around you, feeling the air on your skin, or feeling the cushion or the ground that you're sitting on. Taking your time to come back to our bodies, come back to wherever we are at this point of time. And when you're ready, you can let your eyes open again. Thank you for joining me in that practice. I hope that it was helpful in recentering your mind, exercising your attention, and we hope that you're in a calmer, more peaceful state right now. And I hope you enjoyed. I will be continuing to do these guided sessions for the different types of meditation as well. So I hope you stay tuned.